So, how to plan to achieve your goals. All right, how to plan to achieve your goals. Let's see. Let me just check my notes. I don't want to make sure I missed anything. All right, so how do you plan to achieve your goals? This is very important. We're going to start with the concept that we just talked about. You don't know what you don't know. So you need to research the subject thoroughly. I don't know your goals. I didn't ask for a volunteer to tell me what their goal was, but let's just say that let's go back to the weight loss conversation. Let's say you want to lose 3 pounds by the end of the month. Well, if you were to research the subject thoroughly, who's the subject? You are, your weight, and what you have to do to make sure that you lose that, which means that you also need to understand what's a proper weight for you to be. Some people just lose weight because they see what they see on television or social media, and they think, oh, that's what I have to be like or look like in order to be healthy. And your doctor might say, no, you need a little bit of extra weight because of this problem or that problem. Whatever the case is, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so don't take my word for it. But what I'm telling you is research the subject thoroughly. If I really knew what it took to be a basketball player, then I would know the amount of times that I had to practice, the coach I had to get to know in order to be in his good graces, the plays, the different schools that we were playing. If I had researched the subject thoroughly, I would have significantly increased my chances to become the next Shaquille O'Neal. All right, so what I would suggest to you as you're researching this subject thoroughly, notice we didn't write any, well, you're probably writing your research, but we didn't physically write anything that we were going to do down yet. We're still researching. You need to find a coach or a mentor that you can trust. I am enrolled in Georgia State University to get my PhD. I'm in theoretical mathematics. I don't know why I do this to myself, but it's a subject that I'm good at. And one day I plan to be a professor at the university, or whether I'm speaking or not. If I have the time, I would love to, at one point in my life, continue to be a professor at this university. If I want to be prepared, I'm researching the subject thoroughly. I need to find a coach or mentor that I can trust, which means that I trust that they have the correct values and morals that I do. So I'm willing to learn from them more from their experiences. I call Julia. Hey, Julia, I want to be a professor and I need you to help me, right? So I have someone that I can trust and someone that I'm willing to learn from. You need to find a coach or mentor that you can trust. When I was trying to make the basketball team, there were two coaches that I remember specifically on my high school team, because I met coaches outside of the high school team. One coach, Coach Modi. One coach, Coach Whiteheart. Coach Modi could not stand me because here's this kid putting in 100% effort and acting like he's going to be the next Bill Russell, but he didn't have the skill. But he has the courage, but Coach Modi was not fond of that. He thought I was being arrogant or not taking it seriously. Versus Coach Whiteheart. Coach Whiteheart knew my passion. He knew I wanted to do it, so he put in extra time with me to make sure that I was achieving my goal. He was the one that came to me and was like, look, man, I want you around us. I need that energy around us. I want you next to us on the bench. Remember, these people were going to the NBA and FIBA and D1 schools. We didn't know they were going to the NBA at the time, but they were going to D1, Division I colleges. So they were going to, be people. And Coach Whiteheart knew that, but he wanted me on there. That was a coach and a mentor I could trust. I still am fond of Coach Whiteheart to this day. And I have no idea what Coach Modi is doing. All right, because I couldn't trust him. But another thing that you need to consider when you're planning on achieving your goals, if you're not writing these down, at least take a picture because all of these will be important for you. Identify tangible limitations. Tangible means something that you could touch. I lived 2 hours from my high school. I was in a program that took minorities to majority. That's the name of the program, M to M. Takes the minority groups here in America to the majority groups to get better education. I could not physically practice and see the court as much as the kids that lived 10 to 15 minutes away from school. That was a tangible limitation. I knew that, therefore I had to practice even more on street courts or other courts that I could find. That was a tangible limitation that I was aware of. You want to be a chef for a restaurant? What's your tangible limitation? Where is your restaurant going to be located? Do you even have a restaurant? These are all the things you need to consider and what you would have as you are researching the subject thoroughly and finding a coach or mentor to give you advice. Now you know better what are your tangible limitations. At the same token, an intangible limitation is something you can't touch, right? So such as time. How much time did I have to make the basketball team? Well, I did not plan on failing any classes. I was a great student. Academics were fairly easy for me. I knew I was going to graduate on time. So I knew once I was about 17, this is it. My last year is coming up. If I don't feel like I'm going to make this team, that's it for me. That was an intangible limitation or variable. So you have to also consider that for, I don't know, let's say for even achieving your goals, right? Even losing weight. So you have your tangible limitation is what areas can you exercise in? What food do you have access to? And your intangible limitation would be something such as, honestly, your genetics. You can't control how fast you lose weight, someone's metabolism versus the other. Those are things that you cannot physically touch. You have no control over. Those would be intangible variables that you need to consider. Now you did that. You understand. Let's stick with the weight loss example. You understand a lot more about nutrition. You understand a lot more about exercise. You have probably a fitness coach or someone that you trust close to you, a mentor that went through their own weight loss goal before. You understand your tangible and intangible limitations. Now is best to evaluate yourself. I don't know if you guys have any, I don't know what's it called, guilty pleasures, but for me, I used to like this food called Takis. I don't know if you guys know what Takis is. Honestly, I didn't know until about 2 years ago. And I discovered Takis. It's like chips. It's like processed chips. And I discovered Takis, and like every Friday, I'm bringing a bag of Takis home to the point where my wife's like, "Are you okay? Like you've been devouring this. I've never seen you eat like that." I'm just like telling her, "Man, this is some good stuff." Eventually, I started to get sick. I don't really eat that poorly. I work out often, and this stuff I could tell was making me sick. My digestive system was acting up. I knew exactly what it was. I could not eat Takis anymore because I knew, one, I have an addictive personality, and two, it was not good for me. I had to perform an assessment about myself to discover what were my weaknesses. Same with basketball. I knew what I couldn't do. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. I thought I could do everything. Like I said, I thought I was gonna be the next Julius Erving. So I knew that Dr. J. So I knew that I could do everything. I did not perform a good self-assessment for my basketball skill set. You guys do not have to do that because you are researching the subject thoroughly. You're finding that coach. You're finding those limitations, and now you're evaluating yourself thoroughly. Now we can really start to get into the nitty-gritty of our plan. Now it's time to define parameters for success, such as your timeline, daily tasks, or alternative outcomes. Why did I put that in there? Because did I love basketball or did I want to save the team? Those are something very important. The truth of the matter is I did love the sport. I love the camaraderie within the locker room. I love the teammates. I love the idea of coaching. As you can see, I became a coach later in my life. But I was so set on one outcome, saving the team in the state championship. By the way, we did not go back to the state championship. This was a very competitive area. I didn't even consider the alternative outcome that I was learning from a coach that I respected. So I just threw away my goal. I didn't define properly parameters for success. Make sure that you do that. If you have a goal for owning a restaurant, and let's say you get very, very far into the process, you start to build a name for yourself, you're cooking out of your own kitchen, and people are coming to buy food from you, is an alternative outcome being invited to cook at someone else's restaurant so you don't have to own that fiscal responsibility immediately, to build your marketing, to build your brand, and then one day you can branch out and own your restaurant. Define those parameters for success, and only you would know what that looks like for you. All right, so you've done all of this work and research. You've defined success for you. Who's your accountability partner? Who is going to hold you accountable? Because the truth of the matter is, where self-accountability is important for personal leadership, we spoke about that last time, it's very good to have an external accountability partner. For me today, that's my wife and anything that I do. I couldn't quit pitch play even if I wanted to. My wife would kill me. Back then in high school, when I wanted to be a basketball player, it was very easy who my accountability partners were, because I told the entire school that I was going to be the next Kobe Bryant. So they were all going to laugh at me if I didn't make it. Establish a trusted accountability partners. I'm an entrepreneur. My new friends, or the friends that I've acquired in the last year since being an entrepreneur, are other entrepreneurs, and we typically have calls saying, hey, what did you do with your business? What did you do with that? Did you achieve your goal? I get more excited about the accountability part than knowing these people personally, because I feel like I'm moving along with other people whose goal it is to move. I'm an entrepreneur, so I'll tell you this all the time, especially if you want to start your own business. Don't be afraid to pivot. So when you're making your plan, account for flexibility. Or what I also wrote was, don't be discouraged or simply adjust. Things happen. Let's go back to the weight loss goal example. Say you're planning on losing weight and you get an injury, and now you're bedridden for a week or 2 weeks. You can't leave your bed. That's obviously going to hold you, or you can't leave your space. That's obviously going to hold you captive, because now you have another tangible limitation. You can't leave. So the time is slipping away from you to exercise. Now you might have to change your diet in that situation, much more than you did before. You never know. You need to account for flexibility. I love the quote, you want to make God laugh and tell him your plans. Hey, things happen and you're going to have to adjust. Account for flexibility. But that second part is equally as important. Don't be discouraged. We were talking about what you need: skill, effort, and courage. Do not be discouraged. This is something that's very important for you, that stuff happens, right? And sometimes people get discouraged because they're listing their roadmap and things aren't working out, but you are accounting for flexibility. So you are different. You will not have to worry about being discouraged because you've accounted for all of these things. You have accountability partners. You have coaches that you trust. So now list the roadmap. So, for example, I want to lose weight. My roadmap is, this is my goal, 230 at the beginning of January. I want to be 227 at the end of January. I know I need to eat this much, work out this much to get to this goal. If the number is higher for some people, then you know how much you need to work out. List the roadmap. I just knew I had to play ball to get better. But I didn't study film as much. I didn't learn about coaches or about plays as much. I didn't list the roadmap of what I needed to do to be the next Bill Russell. All right. And forgive me if you guys don't know these players. I probably said 20 different players. The whole point is they're very good players. And once you listed the roadmap, you accounted for flexibility. You are prepared because you're surrounding yourself with people who are preparing you. You need to understand something very important, especially based off our last conversation about you being a personal leader. Rest at the end, not in the middle. Because a lot of people get discouraged, they're like, I'm not seeing the results I want. They just quit. They just stop, or they just take a break. That was me when I first wanted to start my business. I was working in corporate. I had a security blanket, so I didn't have to do anything to get income besides work, obviously. But I had a security blanket, so I'm just putting in a little bit of effort here, putting in a little bit of effort there. I was taking so many rest stops in order to, quote unquote, achieve my goal. Remember, effort, skill, courage. Rest at the end, not in the middle. If you have a goal, don't stop until you achieve that goal. Account for flexibility. If you're getting physically tired, add that to your plan and take extra rest. But that doesn't mean take rest one day, rest the next day, rest the third day, and then you're like, well, I've been resting for quite some time. I might as well. It's okay to take breaks, but rest at the end, not in the middle. All right, so we're good here. You got this is all the bullets that I'm going to have for achieving your goals. I'll read it again just in case you want to write notes or take pictures, and then I'll move on to probably the last part that I want to make here today. Last point that I want to make here. How to plan to achieve your goals. Let's just remember, achieve means what? Successfully bring about or reach with effort, skill, or courage. So how do you plan to do that? Then you need to research the subject thoroughly, find a coach or mentor that you can trust, identify tangible and intangible limitations or variables, perform a self-assessment, evaluate your strengths and weaknesses, define parameters for success. How long is it going to take you, the task that you want to do, alternative outcomes, establish those trusted accountability partners, account for flexibility, don't be discouraged, just adjust, list the roadmap, and lastly, rest at the end, not in the middle. As I move on to the last slide, to really bring all of these stories together, and I spoke about this last time, in order to make these things a reality, because we're all human. It's okay to be up one day and then down the next, and up one day and then down the next. It's okay. That happens. Your life, you're going to be on these up and down curves. That's okay. But to mitigate this, have a routine. If you guys are hearing me and you're on mute, just say it out loud. So no, just right in your head, have a routine. I want you to repeat that so that you understand the concept. Have a routine. Why? It helps improve productivity, efficiency, and your work-life balance. A lot of people think work-life balance means them actually being at work. Hey, if you're working on a hobby and it's draining you, make sure that you're living your life a little bit. Make sure you're having some fun. Whatever the case is, make sure that you have a routine and account for the fact that you are human. I like to think I'm extremely mysterious, because what man doesn't? And I tell my wife, like, you don't know when I'm, going to change up. And she looks at me and she goes, Tariq, you've had the same routine since I met you, and especially the same routine since you started a business. There's nothing you can do that can surprise me. And I'm all mad, like, no, I'm mysterious. But she's right. I follow the exact same routine. I'm working out at 6 a.m. every single morning. I know exactly when I'm working on my business. I know what time I'm going to be most productive in my business. I know what times I'm going to either end up reading or writing. These are two hobbies that I really love. I got a piano back here. I like learning to play music. On Saturdays, I know that I'm going to game for a little bit. On Sundays, I know that I'm going to watch sermons. I have a routine, and all of this week in, week out, month after month, year after year is all helping me to achieve my goals. Even when it doesn't look pretty, having that routine keeps me on track. Even when I'm feeling low and I don't want to work and I don't want to do this, I have that routine just to make sure I get some effort out. When you have that routine, your productivity goes through the roof, your efficiency goes through the roof, your work-life balance goes through the roof. I don't know who's on this call today, but I can tell you right now, if you are taking all of these notes and doing these things appropriately, a few years from now, I can't wait to talk to you again, and you tell me that you solved the cure for cancer because you follow this routine, or whatever the case is, whatever your goal is. Someone on this call right now is going to achieve some crazy things because they are making sure that they're going to have a routine moving forward. Ended on this last time we spoke, but I think it's even more appropriate now after this conversation. You don't become the person you wish to become. You become the person you choose to become.